Mr. Sigania, we can start the earlier life.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kiran. And a very good morning to all our panelists and viewers who have taken the time out to join us today. As chairman of CII Green Cementech, it's an absolute pleasure for me to moderate this session with some of the industry leaders and stalwarts on the cement industry's progress towards net zero and beyond. In fact, before the session started, we were having a brief conversation wherein Mr. Banerjee said it's good to see a few new faces. And I thank, Anoop and Mr. Pathak for being a part of this session and to support this initiative. Um, and, I already introduced Mr. Goyal, but Mr. Goyal is the co-chairman of Green Cementech, and he comes with a range of experience, global experience from various parts of the world, whether it be Sri Lanka, it be South Africa, it be Indonesia. And now he is leading the technical uh, matters for the largest company in our country. Anoop comes from Vikat Sagar, and he's running Vikat as the chief operating officer. Mr. Banerjee comes with, I think he needs no introduction. He has been a stalwart again in this industry, wherein he ran one of the, uh, you know, oldest cement companies in our country for a while, post which obviously the company was in news quite recently, having been acquired. And then he played an active role in the Indian Cement Review. And I thank you, Banerjee Saab, for being here. And Mr. Pathak, again, uh, needs no introduction. He's been a part of multiple companies. I personally met him when he was with Reliance Cement, and then his stint in Africa, before which he has come back to Birla Corp. So Pathak Saab, thank you. And then Mr. Mohapatra, who has been a constant supporter through NCCBM. In fact, Mohapatra Saab, I've had the pleasure of meeting now a few times, and he's doing some extensive work, in fact, even representing the cement industry in the Environment Committee, wherein all the environment clearances go, and to give the perspective of the cement industry. So Mohapatra Saab, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
so
Remarks.
moving, so moving forward with the theme, we all know that global warming is one of the most pressing issues currently being faced by our planet, and it's a cause of concern for the entire global population. We are seeing multiple things coming up, whether it be icebergs melting, it be the heat waves across various parts of our country, it be forest fires, whether in California or Australia, and or even now all the pandemics which are coming up. Uh, I think it's an excuse now. We are blaming everything to climate change, and it's probably true, and it's something which needs to be addressed going forward very, very seriously. And efforts are being made to ensure reduction and, if possible, to reverse the detrimental effects of climate change in order to restore the delicate ecosystem of our planet. And with this primary goal in mind, the world has come together and has forged various international agreements to reduce and eventually eliminate the global greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, we've seen multiple countries come forward, whether it be the US saying net zero by 2050, it be China saying net zero by 2060, it be our own Prime Minister saying net zero by 2070, and it being the GCCA coming forward and saying net zero concrete by 2050. While concrete is still one of the greenest building materials as compared to some of the other building materials we see, but given its large scale usage, the cement industry contributes to 7 to 8% of the global CO2 emissions. We are all aware of this, and this makes us one of the significant contributors to the global greenhouse emissions. In fact, the cement industry is considered as one of the hard to abate sectors. And we have actually always been on the forefront of innovation to address some of these concerns. And the focus that we have taken is split between short term and long term ideas to be implemented. So, in short term, what we are seeing is utilization of renewable energy, installation of waste heat, utilization of industrial waste like fly ash slag to reduce the clinker factor. Using alternate and hazardous fuels, AFR has helped substitute coal and promote a circular economy. And we're also seeing more cement players explore EVs, CNG vehicles for transportation and mining. So I would say these are some of the short-term measures. In long term, to achieve net zero, we need to explore new technologies which can enable this transition. And carbon capture usage and storage, electrification of the cement process, green hydrogen are some technologies being explored. I'm sure there are many more in the pipeline as well. And we see some of the global leaders experimenting with this. Uh, in fact, there was a news of Heidelberg trying to build net zero plant in Sweden fairly recently. And we are a hard to abate sector, and only time will tell which of these technologies will be commercially viable for large scale deployment. So the session today is planned to discuss the opportunities and challenges in achieving net zero emissions for the cement sector. Many cement plants have taken voluntary targets to reduce carbon emissions. We will be discussing the key actions taken by some of the CEOs and the strategies needed to drive the net zero transition for the cement sector. In many cases, we have seen that the leadership shown by CEOs has accelerated the sector's progress towards sustainability. The decisions and key actions taken by many companies have encouraged some of the others to also follow the path. So, without taking any further time, what I suggest to all our panelists is maybe I'll call on you to give your address and your perspective on the theme, post which maybe we can open it out to a Q&A session, wherein maybe some of our attendees could ask a question. Otherwise, I will be happy and I will moderate the session forward. So, Pathak Sahab, over to you maybe for your comments, and we can then proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. And it's my privilege to be among this group of Green Tech CII discussion, which also on the panel I have Sumit Banerjee, I have Dr. Mahapatra, my colleague Anit, Kiran, etc. So I'm sure some of these things that we are discussing, there could not have been a better apt time than this, because the number of years that we have in front of us to be able to achieve net zero, though it may look to be very far off, 2050, 2070. But the task that we have is quite mammoth. And it is a time consuming path that we have. What I'm trying to look at it, and before I come directly to the subject, unfortunately, the concrete seems to have become synonymous with cement. The very fact that we are the lone, or maybe the one of the major lone corporate structure which exists, or branded thing which exists. Whereas if you look at the GCCA study, when they made a roadmap of coming to net zero, a very large portion also comes from the design. It also comes from the concrete that you prepare, etc. For example, they say around 22% has to come in the efficiency in design in construction. There's over 11% which has to come from efficiency of concrete production. Why I'm raising this point is, if collectively, if cement is synonymous with concrete, so if we have to look at making a net zero, though we may say it is a concrete, but everybody look to us as a leadership or to provide as a major player to be able to achieve that. And if we need to achieve that, then this 33%, which is going to contribute in a big way, we need to stretch ourselves into those areas also. Beyond confining to our own business hardcore thing, we as cement industry has to start taking more active participation in how we design the concrete structure, design our buildings. Also, some of us are entering into RMC. How these RMCs can be made, which could have a very significant carbon content around it. Having said this, I would like to say that coming to the cement business, hardcore cement business per se, we may like to look at it into three segments from the carbon point of view. One is the product, that is the cement that we make, and wherein obviously I think some of your queries also talk about blended cement, etc. The second could be the inputs which go into manufacturing of cement, which could be fuel, which could be power that we use, which could be renewable energy, etc., etc. And the third could be niche technology, which still may not be viable, but there are continuous work is going on to make it viable. And that is the place where, besides even in the input thing, is where we require a government support. But some of these things will not become viable until there is some government or some statutory support provided to that. Now, coming to the first part on the product, I think it's a major event of blended cement which converts into help us in reducing the carbon content. But it's also a slight worrisome area for me being in the industry for a long time. The very fact that not only cement industry, the other segments of the industry will also be pursuing this target of coming to net zero. Be it power, be it steel. And if that happens, then the raw material which is today used to produce blended cement, and with the growth of cement industry, if we talk of per capita consumption where the cement industry should be, there would be a wide gap in the supply demand. So though our wish could be to have blended cement more and more in the market, I do foresee in a near future a situation wherein the supply of these materials could form a concern. So it could be a wake-up call, because like we are discussing today, there could be steel industry sitting together how to make steel with less of slag. There could also be power industry sitting, which we already hear of renewable. And the, one of the target is to have 50% of our power coming from the renewable energy. So there could be a limitation on fly ash being generated, etc. So two things to me which comes out, or couple of things which comes out to me. One is where the government and statutory things can help us, is to make a policies wherein some of these materials where they are not viable today could be made viable. Most of us know that viability of fly ash less is governed by the distance you have from the cement plant. If that is the case, then there could be some places which are far off, not close to that. It could be by railway freight policies. It could be by polluter to pay policy, wherein they make it available at a thing. So some of the unutilized, or some of these products can be made available. And the more important than that could be, as an industry leader, and Mr. Madhav, thank God we have Mr. Madhav on this, chairing the session. And he plays a very important role in some of the forums that I have seen after I've come back to India. Maybe he could help us out, and in seeing that some of the international standards which do exist for other blended cement are missing in India. For example, the limestone-based cement, which is very popular, actually, where I worked for so many years in Africa. That was our mainstay product. And I find that is missing from the Indian context. Surely some work is being done by BIS, being done by NCBM, Dr. Mahapatra is there. There could be other blended cements like LC3, etc., etc. So we need to increase, widen this net to be able to see the threat of fly ash and slag coming in, and we do that. And I'm sure as we go along, some of us will add some more things to this. So this is one bucket I thought we could discuss on how do we make this product, wherein we use less of clinker, produce more of cement, wherein we can reduce the carbon content. On the input side, I think things are very fairly straight-jacketed. Many of the things all of us know what to be done. It's only the question of implementation, waste heat recovery, AFR, solar, wind power. Okay, we have a number of, I think, shopping list. Here, what I see, many of us, especially some of us who would be, it will not be fair to call those assets vintage, but I would say relatively old assets that we have. Even going beyond these, which are known to everybody, is everybody working on that. There could be a large portion across the industry, and with my little experience of industry, I can say there are plenty of them, which we still carry an inventory of inefficient equipments. Equipment do not mean kiln or raw mill or cement mill. It could be like compressors, it could be like motors, and the replacement of that may not be a viable thing, just on the saving of the power or the energy, etc. But I think we need to, as a work as CII, as CMA, to work together to see. And with this repo rate increase and interest rate going up, the capital availability. But internationally, there are various funds. There are various pension funds, there are other funds which can make available the funds at a very lower interest rate. In fact, they also would be open to have a sharing model. What they look for is some credibility middle man who can ensure, because they cannot come and do the due diligence and ensure that thing. I remember the days when I think we started the bulk cement, and when I was in ACC that time, and in Mumbai, the bulk cement, the Danish company came and supported that bulk cement concept. And that is how the first time the bulk cement was launched. So I think some sort of that is required, and so that is easier to handle, in my opinion, the bucket which goes into input. The last is there are many green technologies. There are many things we are talking of hydrogen. There are n number of hydrogens usage we are talking about. We are talking about various other niche technology of carbon capture, carbon sinks, etc. Some of these things need to be accelerated. They are still not viable, and they come with a lot of capex. They come with a lot of uncertainty. And for each one of us, I'm not talking with the biggies in the industry. For most of us, for this size of business that we run, it could be too much of a risk to be taken for this big jump in the technology and R&D, etc. And that is where I think CII, CMA should work together with the government agencies. The pure translation of these technologies to a more economic model, I think needs to be accelerated. And that could be a slight earth-shaking thing. And if you look at the GCC, I'm referring again back because there's one document which is in circulation to all of us. That shows almost around 36% potential to facilitate in coming towards the zero carbon. So summarizing again, I feel there is a lot of work to be done in that. Manufacturing is straight away, we know the path. All of us are working on that. Maybe as we go around for the second answers, there are many logistics, supply chain in AFR, how do you make it available? There are all those issues. But I think they are still manageable and they are workable, and we collectively as a leadership has got, I think, all the resources and the technology and the management bandwidth required to fix them up. And some stage, I think some of us in our own ways are also continue to have a competition in the market. But I think the other side, we have started cooperating as an industry in the manufacturing stage, and which is a very healthy sign. So that as a country, as a nation, or why should we be letting unproductively wasting our money? So that is relatively easier. But the niche technology, again, I would feel a great effort is required from the government to be able to see, and that is the one which will offer the greatest potential, or which will make a great shift in the landscape of our journey to net zero. Maybe I'll wait for others, and from those, some more ideas will come, and I'll wait for that opportunity. Thank you, Madhavji, once again for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Pathak Saab. You've really set the context very well. In fact, I just wanted to add one point to what you said. You said 33%, comes from concrete. Concrete and cement, we are making it too synonymous, which it isn't. And there is also the recarbonation aspect, huh?
Exactly.
Which you mentioned, which also I think contributes to 10-15%. So we need to also evaluate all of that, and maybe this 33 becomes somewhere around 45. So the balance left, it's actually how we mitigate this will be key. And I liked your point on obviously the type of the cement mandates, the type of cements which exist globally, which need to be brought into India. And in fact, we'd had an extensive chat with Mohapatra ji. And when he speaks, I will definitely request him to also address this point of yours. So next, I'd like to request Anup Saxena ji, the Chief Executive Officer of Vicart, for his address, please.
So thank you, Madhuji. I just was hearing very carefully what Mr. Arvind Pathak was telling. Uh, when you see this task of net zero carbon, it looks to be very huge if you look at it, because it has a various context in which it is looking huge. Once you see any target which looks huge, you are a little frustrated, and the starting looks to be very difficult. What I look at it, that the big target should be broken down to a small milestone, so that we can see as an industry and as an individual company what we can do. There are certain aspects which can be done individually by the industry. There are certain things which can be done jointly with the effort of everybody, where you and CII and CMA plays a very vital role, as Pathak sir has told. Because there are certain things which relates to policy. I will give you a small example where our group company is doing. So we are working on hydrogen technology for last 10 years as a group. And I would very happy to say that today we are in a stage where next year we are going to commission. What we are doing is we capture the gases from the kiln, and after capturing the gases, we split the water and make hydrogen. And through that splitting happens, whatever energy is required is through renewable sources. So this is, you can say, a green hydrogen. And then this hydrogen and this all happens through electrolysis process, which is very huge investment, and where the French government is helping Vica in order to develop this, because we are the first cement company to develop this. And with that, we are able to produce methanol to 200,000 tons of methanol every year. So my point of giving this example is, there are three, as Pathak sir told, that there are three things which are to be done. One is the thing which are in our hand, routine things which we can improve, we can accelerate. The second thing is the innovative solution like this, what we can do. And the third thing is that lobbying and making government, because just by saying that by 2070 we will have net zero or something like that is a statement, but beyond the statement, a lot of things needs to be done as a policy side. If I look at it from the input side, like today, every industry, cement is facing a huge challenge because of the fuel prices. So as we say that necessity is the mother of invention, so everybody is trying, and then AF is going in a much faster pace as it was going earlier. Because earlier we were having choice, today we don't have choice. And say for our company, we are also working very aggressively. So AF, the problem is still the alternative fuel we are seeing as a buying and selling model, that somebody sells AF and we buy and use it. And when I buy at some price, somebody else will buy a little higher price, and somebody else will buy a little further higher price. So this is buying and purchasing thing, which in my opinion, long run, it is not going to work. We have to make a solution like the complete value chain for the waste to use. And in that, either we can do it jointly, because as Mr. Pathak said that there are several initiatives can be taken jointly, which is a win-win solution for everyone. We can develop the big installation with the, of course, help of the government, by which we can convert the municipal solid waste into RDF. I have seen the RDF installation in Europe, which are much better, and the final RDF which comes for use of kiln is a very good product as far as a fuel is concerned. But in our case, the municipalities are not very clear, and still you can throw the waste wherever is possible. So there again, the picture comes into policy making, by which if we can have, there are technologies available, we can convert it, but everything is costly. It is not cost effective. It looks very easy that it is a waste and we are using, and all of us are in cement, and we know that how difficult it is to convert into usable process and then use it in the cement process. So we need to have some initiative on that, where on a large scale we can do. We are having big cities, and there are cement plants which are there in the cities and also in the villages or second tier cities. We can have a process by which we can collect, convert, and use it. It will be a big thing because there is ample. There is no scarcity for waste available. If you travel on the road, you will both the side you will see plastic bottles, plastic bags, etc. So still we have ample thing, but only thing is to channelize it and make the effective value chain to use in the cement process kiln. In terms of the energy, because in cement we are very highly energy intensive, and we know that how much energy we consume. Until we consume energy, it is very difficult to reach to net zero, because energy comes in any form, whether it is a fossil fuel or through different sources. Only thing is we have now the focus shifting, and we have to accelerate the focus on the energy which is solar, wind, which is very green, and we can definitely use it. We have a very good experience of solar. We are running that solar for last 2 years, and okay, the percentage is very less. We are only substituting 7% of our energy requirement, but still starting point is good, and we can further develop on solar, which is very good. Today there is no even need to go for our own installation. We can have a tie-up. We are going ahead with a tie-up for entire energy, which is from the renewable sources, which is possible today. There are energy which is untapped, and you can get it. So that is, one is very cheaper from business point of view. Second is green. So the today the installation of our own power plant, fossil fuel based, I think this is a old thought process, and we have to come out of it as fast as possible. In our case, one of the power plant we have shut totally. So there is no point in running that power plant, because generating power is such a huge cost, and burning so much fossil fuel is of no use. So similarly, whenever as a design, when the subject of design came, when we design new plant or new installation, we should get rid of CPPs, and we should depend on only the green energy sources, either captive or it can be tied up. So this is the another area where, and waste heat recovery, of course, and the waste heat recovery technology is little old, but still there are a lot of improvement happened in past few years. And today, with the kiln of same size, you can have 5-6 megawatt more electricity generated, which used to happen in earlier years. So there also there is a lot of scope. And as this point was already touched, and is a repetition, very important point is, in India, only two cements people know, or three: PSC, PPC, and OPC. And this is only this is a problem, because I would say that we are weak in lobbying and giving that message. There are several cement for several applications. And as Mr. Pathak told, that masonry cement is the huge demand in Europe and other countries, whereas in our country we have no standard, where you can have 50% limestone, immediately carbon will drop. So these are the initiative we have to take. And secondly, the point is, I was in one of the meeting where I can tell, because I was very happy. I've seen first time the meeting where we were having a railway minister, and he was very positive in saying that the logistic has to be improved for cement sector particularly, because it makes a lot of difference. So the point of fly ash, that fly ash in certain point is not there. In certain areas it is ample, and nobody is lifter because of the distance. So if and railways working very aggressively, based on whatever I heard that day in Delhi, that they are making a various policies which will allow the bulk. This is for both bulk cement as well as bulk any material, including fly ash, to bring at a larger distance at a much cheaper price. So different standards they are preparing, and maybe that can help in bringing the mineral component traveling at a longer distance to a cement plant, and we can make it. So this may be another step in improving the blended ratio and continuous, because today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow, the energy from the fossil fuel resources is going to go down. Once it is going to go down, as Mr. Pathak said, that availability of fly ash is going to be a concern. once this is going to be a concern, we have to only take the sources where it is already there and untapped. We can bring it through logistic if it is possible and if it is economical. And secondly, there are various ponds still where tons and tons of pond ash is dumped, which is lying. Nobody is taker because it is wet. So we have to develop a technology by which we can extract that also, which can also help in improving the blended ratio and blended cement. Another point which is there is that as also this point is touched, that energy efficiency is very, very important, and not in a small way but in a quantum way. And it starts from design itself, because initially and everything has to be cost effective, and that is why, since we are all business, we cannot only work for net zero carbon and without seeing the final aspect of business. So if government bring a policy that energy efficiency plant or efficient technology get some incentive or something like that, why not? People will select certain equipment which are much more energy efficient rather than the conventional one. So because at the end of the day, finally it comes to commercial. So that can also, it can help. We are also working on one of the item which is very, very good. I think some other companies are also working on a calcined clay, which can be directly used in cement. And we have explored in Andhra Pradesh some calcined clay available, which is having a similar property. So we can explore which are the areas where this type of clay is available, and we can directly use to the extent of 20-22% without affecting any quality of cement or clinker. So this can directly, because it is a natural resource, it can directly bring down the level of CO2. So in my opinion, there are various areas we need to work. It is a tough task, a difficult task, but definitely we can do something individually, something jointly. And I can tell you that CII is doing a good work in bringing all these into a common platform where we can share the ideas and we can interact with each other, because these things, everybody is not knowledgeable fully. Something knows, and the know how is spread it. And if we can have through this networking some ideas, why not? So I am Madhav. I am thankful for you to call me, because generally I am a little shy for this type of seminars. But finally, I say my two old bosses are there, so I should face myself in front of them. So I am here. So thanks to you for inviting me. And if any question answer are there, or if some idea comes in my mind, I will definitely connect during the session. Thank you.
Hey, Anup, thank you so much. Thank you. And please always join us for all these sessions. And I'm glad you took out the time. I just have, a couple of points quickly. I'll just take it up. The first point is, Kiran, just a thought. It's come up from both our speakers, and it's something which affects the entire industry. The future of fly ash and slag, huh? And obviously, we need a proper mapping, maybe countrywide, as to where we are going.
Yes, sir.
And we are discussing LC3, but how much of PPC or PSC can LC3 truly replace?
Yes.
I mean, can we have, let's say today, if 320 million tons is being consumed and maybe 200 million tons is blended, can we have, let's say, 100 million tons of LC3? Is there so much clay available in our country? Or what is the cement mix which we will see maybe 10 years from today?
Yeah.
It will really help companies to start the transition in that journey, huh? Because this is going to happen. And all the GUs which are being set up close to thermal power plants, we are already seeing the utilization go down. We are seeing seasonality in these plants running. Uh, so there has to be a more futuristic approach to it. The second thing, Anupji, you mentioned regarding the RDF bit, and I agree with you, the entire value chain needs to be addressed, but somewhere, we need to see whether we as an industry should enter that to correct the value chain, or there are companies which will come forward to do it, and then we guide them as to what type of material we need. But the issue around polluter pays, huh? I've been hearing this for 10 years. I Realistically, I don't see this happening.
Mm.
I see this maybe happening in certain cases, but as and when we all start going for the same waste, it only drives the price up. And we need is still we are not processing 100% waste. And when waste processing reaches 100%, I think it will be available in abundance. I don't see that being a challenge. It's only because of the shortfall today that we are all driving up the price. And lastly, on the hydrogen project which you all are doing, if you could share some more data, maybe these are the type of things we need to represent to the government that this is happening globally, and maybe we should have one or two projects of this sort funded in India as well
Mm.
to showcase globally that India is also has certain projects like this on the green transition anvil. So I mean, if methanol can be made out of this, I can only tell you this, that someone like Mr. Gadkari would jump at the thought
Yeah.
of the industry, creating maybe tons and tons of methanol. So quite an interesting concept. So thank you. Now I request uh, Banerjee Saab, maybe for your address, please. Banerjee Saab currently uh, is an independent director uh, at GSW Cement. Please, Banerjee Saab.
Hi, thanks, Madhav. I was very deeply listening to my ex-colleagues Anup and Arvind, and they have touched on a number of points. And I mean, I wonder if there is anything relating to the topic that has been left untouched. But I would like to maybe what I will say will be a bit of a repetition, but from a different angle. And I would start by saying that so far in India, the cement industry, whatever we have done, whatever we are doing, and whatever we are planning are all incremental improvements in CO2 mitigation. We have not done any disruptive and materially impacting. And why we in the world also, it has not happened so far. Now, again, one more thing that has happened so far is that something that is common, a common thread running through uh, the initiatives, is that cement industry has done what is viable. Cement industry, whatever cement industry has done, or for that matter, any other industry, uh, they have done it because not only it is environment friendly or climate competitive, but also because it helps them cut down cost. Now, here we are, when we are talking about net zero, when we are even talking about a journey towards net zero, here we have to seriously think of things which are not incremental, but things which are deeply disruptive. And it has been mentioned that, carbon capture and hydrogen fuel, and may not have been mentioned, but I would like to add that, synthetic cement, or maybe there is a fourth one or fifth one. But the time has really, really come for us to not just think that over the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, something will happen by magic, and we will get one of these things done, and therefore cement industry will become net zero. If you look at the solar, so-called solar revolution in India, just the last quarter, the calendar year quarter 1, India has commissioned 3 gigawatts of solar panels. Out of a total amount of power installed in the same quarter of 4.6 gigawatts. So this is an impressive performance, and it's a 50% jump from the same quarter last year. But then, why is it happening? It is happening because it is financially viable. It makes money sense. Now, power, steel, cement are the biggest contributors. We know they're the traditional. They have traditionally been the highest CO2 contributors. Power is well on its way to see at least a roadmap for killing this issue, this complex issue. And it is just waiting for the invention and commercialization of high capacity batteries. And I don't think that high capacity batteries are more than 10 years away. And that's the consensus of the industry. And once that is done, once high capacity batteries are viable, then I think power sector would have killed the problem of future investments which are green. But the similar situation, if you come back to cement, a similar situation for cement to be able to say that, yes, we know the solution, it's only a matter of time and we can kill this. We have not come there. Not only that, we have not come there, we don't have a roadmap, we don't have a viable, Anup did mention about the hydrogen fuel thing, it's very good, but and it is being done with the support of the French government. But there is much more that needs to be done. Many more experiments, many more trials, many more pilots, and all over the world. But nothing much is happening in the second largest cement market of the world. So the point that I am making in this opening remark, which may sound somewhat like a closing remark, but the point that I'm trying to make is that CII, what can CII do? That's a very relevant thing to talk about here, right? CII can definitely get together researchers, educational institutes who are working on these disruptive models, financiers who are ready to finance such green projects and opportunities, government of the day, the policymakers, and the cement industry technology officers. Get them together in seminars where we can no longer then, after doing some serious thinking, serious collaborating, serious exploration, and serious funding on these disruptive kind of possibilities, then we will be able to say that yes, 2070 or 2050, this much is possible because we know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But unfortunately, I can only say, and I'll only focus on this and not on all the hackneyed topics of fuel efficiency and clinker factor and more slag and more fly ash and more AFR. It has been beaten to death, these topics. But I think time has come now to come out of this and to do things, work on things which will really bring us that closer to that net zero. And we are not spending even 5% of our efforts as an industry body, and we should do more. Thank you.
No, Banerjee sir, I agree with you, we need to be disruptive and think disruptive. Incremental change will not get us there. I think that is the key, the crux of the matter here. Kiran, maybe it's again food for thought. We should work to bring these stakeholders together on one platform. And unfortunately, the discourse with government is always in the wrong direction. And it probably needs to be towards, how we can decarbonize the industry. That's probably a good theme to build engagement as well. Because now it's a global theme, Great. So over to you, Goel Sahab. I will keep you last as you are the co-chairman. I hope that is okay. Mohapatra Sahab, over to you, please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Chairman Sahab, Singhania ji, and all the panelists, respected Arvind Pathak ji, Mr. Ramkrishnan ji, Sumit Banerjee Sahab, Raju Goel ji, and Anup Kumar Saxena ji. Actually, all the experts have told a lot of things about the decarbonizations. I'll only specifically tell, as a part of the NCCBM, how it is connected to the government entities and how NCCBM can a part to support the industries. At the same time, how to meet the commitment of our Honorable Prime Minister, at the commitment by COP26 to become 2070, net zero by 2070. So during these periods, actually NCCBM has been connected with so many entities, the Government of India, and under the administrative control DPIIT, Ministry of Environment, Forest and CPCB, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BIS, and Niti Aayog, and after all the CI and CNA. Already we have had a lot of things, because nowadays really the government of India is taking lots of efforts how to actually how to meet the commitment given by our noble Prime Minister, and how India to become net zero by 2070. For that, actually, the example is that DCCI, Development Council for Cement Industry, DCCI. Earlier, I have attended meetings of DCCI. The normal points is coming. Now you can see that the last meeting under the chairman of Mr. Anil Agrawal, the additional secretary of the DPIIT, he took the chairs, and also all the industry people are the chairman and also taking the leads in the different areas. That itself shows how government of India is now committed for this cement industry to become carbon neutral or carbon negative by 2070. In the DCCI, they have already circulated the things, and also our honorable chairman Madhavri Singhani also is the member of the chairman of the committee of the innovations. They have already made the 5 committees like decarbonizations, capacity utilizations, innovations, efficiency, ease of doing business, and also inclusions. Already 3 meetings has already conducted very seriously, and NCCPM has been told to be the member of all the teams. That's why, seeing the importance, now NCCPM is taking the role in all the committees, and also proactively looking how to get support. All the 5 parameters already established are the decarbonizations. So if you discuss about the first chapter, that clinker blending, the clinker factors, in that actually you have already achieved by producing about Portland slag cement, Portland pozzolana cement, and also composite cement. But now recently NCCPM has developed about 3 to 4 products, and also coordinating with the BIS to get it approved. That is Portland limestone cement, Portland dolomite cement, and Portland composite cement, where actually the limestone and dolomite can be utilized in the cement up to 15 to 20%. And at the same time, fly ash and limestones. The composite cement as being produced by the industry, those are getting both the source fly ash and slag. But the people, those are not getting the slag. After getting this Portland composite cement, at least fly ash, limestone can be utilized. So that is also main factor, so that blended cement will be increased. Our main prime importance is that how NCCPM taking the prime role, how to make the 100% blended cement in India, and how to be utilized for all sectors. For that, actually, NCCPM is doing a primary role in connecting the government of India and several entities and also industries as a whole. So the lot of parameters have been already discussed in decarbonizations, that captive renewable energies, policy to ensure use of municipal waste and hazardous waste, enabling carbon sink and circular economy, fly ash and gypsum. Similarly, capacity utilizations, the logistic matters, mines and mineral matters, BIS and related matters, innovations, fast-tracking new standard development. Already the point is that LC3 cement and all the different cement, how it will come in the fast-track methods. For that, actually, we are directly coordinating the Bureau of Indian Standards in so many subcommittees how to get it faster. At the same time, if this innovation team has already come under the leadership of the Singhani Aji, we are also very hopeful that actually this innovation team closely coordinating with the BIS and NCCPM how to get it a faster mode. Similarly, efficiency, suggesting the norms like waste heat recovery systems. We are now connected to the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. We have been told by the Government of India to make those seminars with Association Bureau of Energy Efficiency, different sectors, how to reduce this heat consumption also at the same time. Then circular economy as one of the part of the Prime Minister of missions. Our DPIIT is taking the role, and NCCPM is taking the primary role in utilization of the gypsum as a phosphor gypsum and also mineral gypsum and also HDD gypsum. Already the HDD gypsum coming from the power plants can be 100% successfully utilized in cement. For that, actually, NCCPM has taken the steps with the associated industries and making it successful. Secondly, the phosphor gypsums plentifully available in Odisha, that Paradip phosphates and IPCO. That also we have already inventorized it. Also, we are taking the faster mode how to utilize this gypsum, not in cement, also as a part of the clinker also. Because the new clinker is coming, and also in that also this gypsum and also red mud can be utilized to get the new clinker, where reduction of thermal energy is there, and also carbon dioxide emission will be by 30%. So similarly, ease of doing business, also NCCPM is taking the primary role, how to make the business easy. That suggestion is simplifying, fast tracking environment clearance. suggestion simplifying mining clearances, and suggestion captive mines, and suggestion use of DMF. So many things also we are taking the primary role as a part of the government of India to make the easy of the doing business for the industries. So already 5 parameters India is doing well on the 4 parameters. Last parameter is that carbon sequestration, carbon storage, carbon uses, for which Niti Aayog has taken a lead in last 30th March, where we people have been invited to participate and also to for all the sectors and cement sectors. Mr. Mahendra Singh from the Dalmia Cement, and I was also invited from the NCCBMs, and also how to go forward in this. This is the new things is coming: carbon sequestration, carbon uses, and carbon capture. For this, actually, recently, the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Action, they have taken its active role for to visit the cement plant in Sweden. In Heidelberg, cement is doing the guest work, the carbon neutral in Sweden, and we 4 are selected, nominated for the first time, and up to 28, we are going to have a visit. I have been nominated by the DG NCCBM by the Minister CIM and also DPIIT. At the same time, some cement industry people are also coming, I think Dalmia and others. But in the next phase, we will give the invitation to other cement industries how to go at a more scales. And after learning from there, Heidelberg and also one of the steel plants, they have selected 2 plants. One is cement sector in Heidelberg Cement, and one steel plants. Our Ministry of Steel people are also coming with us. We 4 are going, and after learning the things there, again we have to take the webinars and taking the knowledge to our Indian cement industries. What we can do, the exemplary things in India, how much it is implemented also. Similarly, our Indian-US sustainable growth pillars. Then under the strategic clean energy partnership, they have also taken a lots of meetings where all the Ministry of Power, Minister of Power and Minister of Renewable Energy, MOF and CC, MNRE and Niti Aayog, then Minister of Power, all these people are already there, and also industry representative, Mr. Raju Goyal and other people are also there in this committee. Also, they have made a way forward and giving the different suggestion on the policy interventions, then capacity utilization restrictions, then technological interventions, incentive required for the different sectors, which also has been report already been made and also submitted to the Government of India. So in the different sectors, Government of India is very much proactively taking the role, and as because NCCBM under the administrative control DPIT, and we are connected to all the government agencies and at the central Indian sectors. Now also you want to closely work with the CIA and also CMA, how to take this further forward. And NCCBMs recently has developed a lot of things on it, and also we have made a 22 expertise group in NCCBM, the different bonding sectors like mineralogy and microstructures, new clinker system, low carbon cement, high temperature technologies, XRT, XRF system, advanced analytical techniques, alternate fuel and raw materials, advanced communications, advanced bioprocessing, energy conservation, renewable energies, carbon capture and utilizations, and so many 22 groups, and also taking the leadership of the different areas, so that how will connect to the industries that are at the and also Government of India to make it sustainable and also go in a high spirit. This mineralogy and microstructure groups, as because CO2 emission and also utilization is also related to the concrete. So also we are doing a lot of job in this, and also we are connected to the foreign international experts, and also are connecting the Indian cement industries for making the knowledges out of this. So now NCCBM is also conducting so many webinars. Recently also we conducted a webinar on low carbon cement, and also we have invited about 200 people have attended it. So that type of things also we're doing, and connecting so many IITs and NITs, how to connect our university students for our research in the cement and construction sectors. So also we want that this type of seminar like the CIA also giving the much opportunities for us NCCBM to be connected, and we are also very much determined to work closely with the CIA and the CMA, and also we are part to connect with the Government of India. Thank you, sir, for giving the opportunity to give us thoughts on today's theme. Thank you, sir.
Nahi, Mohapatra Sahab, thank you. And for all our viewers here, I'd just like to tell you that Mr. Mohapatra is like a pillar of support for the entire cement industry. In fact, I have had the pleasure of meeting him during some of the DCCI meetings, and we have had multiple discussions as to how and where we are stuck with getting the standards of cement fast-tracked. And he's playing a crucial role because all the research is ready at his end, and he has forwarded the same to BIS, and he is following up on how we can get it through. So, Mohapatra Sahab, you've played a very
1
important
minute, sir.
role.
I'm just updating, sir. As a part of the standard coming in India, actually, we are now connecting how to get the pilot plant trial in the plants. Because earlier, why it is taking 15 years time composite cement, because the results are not enough. And our industry do not tie up with the pilot plant scale also. Because any new product come, for that we take the approval for the BS. But now we are connecting innovation team under our guidance and NCCBM here and also BS. And also we can connect the industries because we have already talked to the JK and other Dalmia and Ultratech to take a plant scale trial of the Portal limestone cement, Portal dolomite cement, Portal composite cement. If it will plant scale trial, we can take a building also in the similar style. We can get it expedited. So the new thoughts is coming because I am a man for the industries. I know how to get it trial in the industries. I have to get the expedited this year, and also at the same time, DCCI is taking the proactive role. And our secretary and also our additional secretary has told NCCBM will be in the all groups and under the dynamic leadership of the different people like Mahindra Singh from Dalmia Cement, you from the JK Cement, and others are there. We can do well and we can connect in such a way. Thank you, sir.
Mohapatra Sahab, I have one more suggestion for you. Since you are visiting this plant of Heidelberg, maybe some of these meetings and some of the outcomes which are coming out of Niti Aayog, because it seems like the disruptive areas of the progress on these disruptive areas, maybe Niti Aayog will play a very important role
Yes.
in bringing this forward. So maybe, details of some of these meetings and what is the thought process as a part of the NCCBM agenda in the newsletter. It would be very beneficial for some of the, corporates, the industry people to also understand the government's thought process in this aspect. So if you could share some of this, maybe an outcome of the visit. I personally believe seeing is learning and believing. So it would be also good for us to take a delegation sometime to see some of these new technologies coming up, like has been done by CII also and CMA also in the past.
Definitely. After coming from the Sweden visit, we'll give the reports at the same time. We'll connect to all the industries and also one type of webinar. So whatever we learned, we can also disseminate to the industry knowledge. And also we are now taking our NCCBM journals and into bulletins, where also we can circulate all the industries and will be more prominent. What are the work is being done in the industry and our connectivity with the government of India. What is the outcome is there? We can also immediately circulate it every month to all the
Absolutely.
industry. Thank you, sir.
Please do, Mohapatra sir. So, Goel sir, over to you.
Thanks, sir, and thanks for this opportunity and all my panelists here. I know personally, I met them all. I'm not sure whether Mr. Pathak remember that. I met my early age of the time I met them. So now after speaking from stalwart of the industry is for me is very difficult to talk because all the points has been covered. But let me try my best to say what I see and where I see where we need to be interfere and where need to be learn from the other things what is happening in around the world also. So let's take some. I think if I have some repetition, I will try to connect what I'm going to say while repeating this one. So please apology for my side from the repetition of a few words. As we all know that the concrete is a synonymous of the cement and used after the water, the second largest commodity we use in the world. And if you take the little inventory of the Indian cement industry, so let's take the 3 or 4 pillars what we have already all the fellow panelists spoken on that. So first part, the SCM, which is the use of all the substitution materials. If you see that currently Indian industry standard versus the utilization is reached to the peak, there is no further scope left. And if you go there with the surgical knife, you might get a very, very incremental impact on our aim or what the objective we're trying there. Energy efficiencies, power and electrical energies on that side, either in the production or as on the consumption, we have achieved significantly compared to the world standards and world level in that side. energy production, I think we already spoken that's solar and things. So this is, I will say that in this whole areas, we have already worked around that one. And as we have, as Mr. Anup mentioned that about the RDF and things. So we talk about a lot of fuel replacement and fuel things, but that is only the 25 to 30% of the total our problem of the CO2 release, because 70% is coming from our calcination of the limestone. So that's one of the area which we have more challenge on that side. But I can tell you the last few, it's about 12 months, what I am talking to the number of people and things, lot of new startup companies, lot of new agencies, and lot of new technical institutions or things are coming up to look into that problem, how this can be sorted out, how this can be done, combining with the carbon capturing, carbon utilizations. So when we talk about the speed, I say that if 2 years back we talk about that, we will not say that the progress what we have made in that last 24 months will be achievable, but one can see that the pace and things are happening so fast, which may not be realizing right now. And one thing what I see the very positive sign right now, because if you see the last say decade or 5 years ago, the all startup companies was talking about the fintech and others like all the financial platforms, e-commerce and things. But now you'll see that the scope for the startups in our areas has increased significantly. Number of people are coming, number of startups are working on that, which will definitely give us some kind of insight to solve our issues if we can take this opportunity aside. One point also mentioned on the material side, which is the fly ash, slag and things. If I say, I may be wrong to say that we are just about 10 or 15 years behind the Europe, because there is no fly ash, no slag, no alternative materials are available. So this is the right thing to see that what are the options will be available for us. And thanks to chairman, which have given the task to the CII to look into that our inventories and where we need to play on that side. But similarly, the material science also evolving quite significantly, like nanotechnology and nanomaterials are coming up in the market now. Admixtures and chemicals are taking a very big role to play our reducing the carbon footprint in the whole product cycle on that side. And coming to the technology side and taking the advantage of the digitalization, AL and MI, still further have some opportunities to reduce our carbon footprint by optimizing our operations and increasing the efficiency in our process, which human cannot do it. So that's another advantage we can take it on this side. And what the need, we say that, I think as Mr. Mahapatra mentioned that discussing with the BIS to have another standards and looking to the revise the existing standards also will help us to produce a alternative materials or alternative product for the cement replacement on that side. What I see that in this whole landscape, what has changed and what I have seen that in this, before the things was seen as a risk. And I say that in my personal experience, in that personal opinion, that now risk has become opportunities, because the way the industry is behaving, the number of companies are taking the initiatives, number of companies are talking about that, openly coming at that, committing something, is means there's a risk is become the opportunity side on that side. So landscape of the whole eight things has been changed. Traditional way is not going to, I think we understood that traditional way may not be enough for us to take this in the new journey or new environment. So this is the things has been changed significantly, and now investment and things are coming up on that side. So this is setting up a quite significant our own what you call giving a hope and giving a ambition to do better than what we have done and resolve our ambition or achieve our ambition towards the net zero things. I'll also one point also mention that a lot of technologies are available in right now, either maybe in the lab stage or the pilot stage. I'm saying that right now, if you talk about the CO2 capturing or CO2 utilization, number of technologies are available and to pilot, number of things, especially in the calcination area also, Lilac and other people are talking about that. Now I think we should also look into the adoption of the technologies, because I believe that we should not reinvent the wheel when something is available on that side. How we can adopt and learn from that. Like one example is given the like Sweden, which Mr. Mahapatra is looking at. So learn from that and adopt as fast as possible. So when I say the adoption, I think here we also need some kind of a framework with the all stakeholders, either the industry, either the government or the agencies, whatever, who can be the partner in that, either institutions and things. How we can get the piloting can be done, how this funding or how can be this program can be sponsored and get this kind of a awareness to the people. Can we get something learning from out of that? And then government side is looking like a taxes and other things. How this can be enhance the motivation of the industry to adopt this new technology, because as we all know that whenever the new technologies comes, they are not cost effective, not very cost attractive, because the size and scale and things required. So this will also help us to achieve our objective if we can look into around how this mechanism and how this stakeholders management can work towards the all piloting and things. Because I will agree with Mr. Sumit has mentioned that we have completely overwhelming on the use of the materials, energy, power consumption of things. We have done a lot on that side, and very little scope is left there to achieve further. So very disruptive or very different type of approach will be required. So this piloting of the things which also need to be understand. I'm not sure how this will be arranged or how it will be piloting with the industry, CII, CMA or NCB or somebody will be a partner for this, adopt the technology as faster as possible. That will also be helping us in our whole roadmap for net zero and 2050, 2070, whatever we say that. And I think speed, and I fully agree with you, Chairman, that incremental things may not be enough for us, but step change will definitely required. Whether you call disruptive or something, this will be also required. And look into our old standards. Sorry to use word old. I will say modernize them and adopt as per the application requirement. I think one of our fellow panel mentioned that to look into that, because still we are saying that this application only OPC is required, but there's a better options are available. Material science has progressed so high, things can change and things can be much more better than the traditional material science or material application what we are talking about. So with this, I will say that this is a good opportunity for me to hear all the star world what has been done, and I feel that this the piloting as well as going to the trials and things will definitely give us a more confidence and more advantage compared to the rest of the world. That will be my submission for Mr. Chairman.
Nay, Goel Saab, thank you. You had actually the toughest job to speak after everyone, but you still came up with some excellent suggestions. I agree with you that we will start seeing a lot more startups also in our area of work, and how we kind of collaborate with that ecosystem
Yes.
will probably be extremely useful. Um, my my point, maybe a lot of things have been said, and something which Banerjee Saab said, that we end up doing things which make financial sense, right? And which is why the disruptive ideas don't come into the radar, because it's not financially viable at this point of time.
Yes.
And most likely what will end up happening, which is tough to say, but we are seeing this in Europe and maybe some of the developed nations, around this entire discussion of a carbon market. And how this evolves in India is going to be very interesting, because if there is a carbon market wherein you have to buy certain carbon credits, it happened in the renewable front, wherein we were mandated to buy either renewable power or renewable certificates. And if something like that happens in our field, not that it's going to be very good for us, because again the price, it will end up affecting the cost and then eventually the price of cement. But that may make investment in some of these technologies more viable, or maybe the urgency around it will end up being a lot more than what it is probably today. Um, so that is just my thought there. I may be completely wrong, and I may be saying something completely out of the way here, but that's at least a thought there. Goel Sahab, you'd like to add something, please
Yeah,
do.
I just wanted to say that when you say the carbon market, because if you see the current scenario in India, what I see that we are very much focused on the energy saving and energy conservation kind of things. When carbon market will come, this will set up a complete roadmap for the encouraging the people or our industry to move from the energy saving to the emission reduction intensity. So that will help the like a whole like an ecosystem will develop on that side. If the carbon market things are coming to the bees, what looking for that, this will change the complete focus of the industry also. Right now, we are looking only one bucket of that because we are missing some links. But when this comes, it will be completely putting and compliance will also improve. That's one of the part I see in that market. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no, please, Goel sir. And to again Anoopji's point, it's just something we saw, and it's tough to say how things will evolve at this point of time. But we are seeing multiple countries suffer during the energy transition of going green. Because what is happening is they are not setting up thermal power plants. They are setting up renewable energy plants. And renewable energy at this point of time, till the energy storage or green hydrogen or whatever doesn't reach that scale, it is not going to sustain the grid.
Yes.
So we are seeing power demand increase at the growth in power demand is happening much faster now compared to the addition of power capacity which can sustain the grid. And that is now leading to even blackouts in some European countries, wherein they are not being able to manage the peak demand and the daytime power, and a lot of things changing in that context. So how that evolves in our country over the next 2-3 years is really left to be seen, because power demand is going to grow, and we may end up seeing a crisis every time between March and May or June, wherein you know we will see maybe some power cuts for industry, forcing us to run the CPPs, and maybe making that transition slower to greening our industry. So I don't know, Anup ji, आपका इस पे क्या view है? Because I agree with
I'll
you.
give you a very good example. Recently, you must have read in the newspaper that in Andhra Pradesh, we are the company called Greenco is putting a very big energy park, which is having a combination of solar, hydro, and wind. So this hydro is created for storing the energy, which is the cheapest mode of storing the energy of solar in a daytime and then release in the night time. So this is a very good concept which is coming, and I think and is a big, I think 3,000 megawatt or something. But if similar concept comes, and which is definitely come, it will definitely help. In India, the advantage is we can, and I have seen the details of that, where the natural gradient are used. So there is no much cost of construction of reservoir, because that is a costliest thing. Solar and wind you can construct. So if that type of model comes into picture at different places, I think this the issue which you are talking about will be started solving. But there is a lot needs to be done, not only in one particular park like this, but this combination. I have seen one presentation which talks about this is the cheapest form of storage of solar, because
Yep.
water is the cheapest
No,
source.
absolutely. No, very interesting. So, before we conclude, I have one question. Maybe any of our panelists, I request you to answer it, whichever whoever is comfortable. Um, what sort of ideas, thoughts, suggestions do you have, and any specific areas? I know we've had a lot of discussion. I have noted down a few as well. But if you'd like to add that CMA and CII should work on in terms of research and publications, missions and policy representations, and so on, so that we can take that forward more effectively, uh, uh, and actually make a difference for the industry. So I leave it open, huh? Whoever would like to take this, uh, uh, please do. Banerjee sahab?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are many things that come to my mind, but I think top of the mind is the initiative that I suggested, that we should work wholeheartedly as an industry body to generate ideas of those disruptive changes and work on that viability path. And in doing so, we must, I'm repeating that at the cost of taking away everybody's time, but I think it is important. In doing so, we need to, get together the technologies in the cement industry. We need to get together the policymakers, and we need to get together the people who will be funding such initiatives, and also the in Western world, you will notice that many quite a few of such initiatives or researches are being undertaken by education sector, universities, and the large cement companies which have the wherewithal to do these tests themselves, do these experiments themselves and pilots themselves. They are not so much, this example of Heidelberg apart. I think the cement companies in India, the bigger cement companies, also need to come forward and maybe make a joint venture, and maybe CII can facilitate that joint venture, and everybody has some equity participation, with the sole aim of developing the technology and make it viable for any of these disruptive processes. And I can tell you one thing, that knowing about the price of technology, so far cement technology doesn't cost money in India, because it basically comes with the equipment that we buy and the projects that we buy from the KGs of the world or FSPs of the world. But then these technologies of carbon capture, if it becomes, and when it becomes viable, it's going to come with a price tag. It's definitely going to come with a huge price tag, and we can't give it to Mr. Anup Saksena's company in India, because that's a subsidiary relationship. But we need to also parallelly try and develop our own technology for this, and we have the muscle power, we have the technology power, we have the money power as well. So putting together all the large cement companies here, why can't we do it? Why can't CII catalyze such an initiative? It's going to be tough, but it's worth trying it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, Banerjee Saab. And I completely agree. And I actually wanted you to repeat this point because I feel it's one of the most important points also from the discussion.
Thank you.
Madhav, one point in my mind is when we are talking about when India talking about 2070 net zero, what we should do, we should prepare a paper and model. We should prepare a model which talks about what is going to happen in 2070. We should say the growth of a cement, you take a figure or GDP equivalent or 5% or whatever, you take a growth and you see what is the cement, and we can also check about how much CO2 we are going to generate. You take the quantum improvement as a model that AFR will reach to 50% or things like that, and blended cement will move if we take all the initiative for masonry cement, etc. What is put all together and see where we land. Definitely, we will not land at zero carbon. This is clear. So once we land at certain thing, and then we have a technology which is today not available in India, but Western are trying in different technologies on where maybe hydrogen or methanol generation or maybe oxy-rich technology or whatever. You take all this and we have a tentative cost. Okay, definitely Western cost, when we indigenize, definitely cost will come down. You can just put a paper, and in one of the forum we should try to present that this is the situation which is emerging and what is to be done, because the costs are so high that definitely you need to have either two things. One is we should propagate that green cement should be made, that is the only way. And when the green cement is made, you have to have zero carbon. And once for that, what would be the tentative cost of a product or price of a product, whether we can able to buy or not? This is the one question. Secondly, what type of government directly or indirectly help in supporting these projects in a different way in order to reach the target at 207? At least the black and white paper should be shown, which will definitely give a very bad picture, and then only something will come out. Or maybe we should try and make the policy maker aware that saying is very easy and looks very easy, but to convert the slogan into reality, this looks out like this on a black and white. I think CII and all of us can help in developing that model paper, and which can be presented.
No, Anupji, I think that's a very good idea. Kiran, this we should definitely look at, huh? And this is possible to do as well, because this will be kind of eye-opening for the uh, relevant authorities to then help us come up with some sort of model to either fund it and come up with some projects which can then be taken up, as Banerjee Saab said, in our country. Anything from you, Pathak Saab, you'd like to add? Sorry, you're on mute, Pathak Saab.
I would like to just add to what Sumit and Anup has said. I think more or less there's a similarity in both what they say. Well, what we need is truly what is exercise, what Anup suggests and what saying. We need to have something disruptive. And this disruptive cannot be the individual company driven. And we also should understand that most of us are in a business, we are operating, we have excellence in that. But for a disruptive technology innovations, we may fall short of the skill set that is required for it. So we shouldn't be trying a model of wherein, yes, there should be contribution, but it should be left to the experts. And only to the extent of contribution, it should be the role of the industry.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we try to drive that as a CII or CMA, maybe it will not lead. We could be an overarching in a steering committee, etc. But look for the people who know the thing, and there are people who drive it. And so I think that model needs to be done like yesterday. Government support would obviously be required. I think waiting for that, I think we need to prepare a white paper on that. There's one part of it. The second part is we as an industry are not a standalone. We are also part of a supply chain of a different part of the whole ecosystem. We have some users of the cement, there are some suppliers who will make this event happen. And if we really want to facilitate this journey of net zero, some sort of cooperation platform, it needs to be going beyond the cement. It could include the supply side, it could also use in the usage side. And that together will make it, I think, journey. Because tomorrow, if we look at only subsystem optimization, the whole system as a nation will not get optimized. We may drive excellence in the industry, but that excellence industry has to have a far-reaching effect. It should be the entire supply chain that we should look at. So these two things that I thought, instead of looking singularly at cement, we could look at the whole supply chain part of it. And we should initiate to put up a paper, which will obviously not be very pleasant to look at. But that is the one which normally will force us to accelerate our thinking and participation. But then, word of caution is leave it to the people who understand this, rather than people who are in the manufacturing or in the business.
I really like the word of caution, huh, Pathak Saab? That is so true. No, correct, Pathak Saab. Thank you so much. And any remarks from your side, Goel Saab, Mohapatra Saab, just to conclude? Mohapatra Saab, we can't hear you.
Hear me, sir?
No. Yeah, now we can.
Now it's okay.
Yes, sir. I think thank you for this opportunity again. But I say that what our fellow panelists said, this one, we have to work around the whole ecosystem about the adopting the new technologies and things which we have already said this one, this area. One thing also I would like to say, sir, because with due respect to all the star word here, now we to also look about connection with the KPIs and our new innovations. Because this is the one of the area I see that because we are so much of KPI driven, where the innovations also getting somewhere lower priorities. So that's the one area. I will not elaborate more on that. I think Sumitji knows what I'm talking about. We had a lot of discussion in our old times. So KPI driven versus the innovation, I think also need to be reset.
Sure. Thank you, Goel Saab. Sorry, Mohapatra Saab, we couldn't hear you. Aap mute. No, we still can't hear you. I think there is some technical glitch, but we heard you clearly the first time. I'm sorry. I think in the interest of time, we will have to close. Now we can. Ek sec, Mohapatra Saab.
Yes.
Yes,
Now,
now we can.
concluding is that actually as because Government of India has given so many forums. Now
Yes,
DCCI is the most example forum for that, because for the first time Government of India has taken so many initiatives. So that is the forum when the CII, CMA, NCCBMs and other industry sectors can jointly together and give so many inputs to the Government of India, because I heard from the Mr. Anil Agarwal. He told very clearly that everything is doable. You
Yes.
should take the interest. So that already, and I can take a breeze between the industries and Government of India. So NCCBM definitely will be devoted for that, and we have to jointly work together. CIE, CMA, industries, and also these are the forums that already come. As because I am connected so many now, Niti Aayog directly and also DPIT, DCCI, all the things. So I think that this is the best platform. We should take the good advantage of this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mohapatra Sahab. In the interest of time, I will now conclude the session. And I'd conclude by firstly thanking all our panelists for such an engaging discussion. A lot of good ideas came out of it. And I feel the key learnings are, while we keep doing what we do in terms of incremental change, and it's something we should continue focusing on, but we should also think disruptive. And to think disruptive, we need necessary support, and maybe we need to look for the right platforms. CII could be one of them. CMA, there is DCCI. How we can get these disruptive projects through is going to be key, and that's probably the way forward if we truly want to decarbonize. Other than that, I again really thank all our panelists, especially Anup ji and Pathak Saab, who've come for the first time. In fact, even I've come for the first time over here. So while I've taken the luxury of saying that, but I look forward to seeing all of you more often, and let's make this discussion engaging to try and bring about the desired change through some of these platforms. And look forward to your continued support. And thank you, Kiran. I hope, thank you for, putting in all the effort in the background to make this possible and also this session possible. So thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you very much. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
Just one request, Madhavji.
Ji.
Are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm right here.
Yes.
Paraivan.
So in case any